Remember when Uber was cheap, like weirdly cheap? Cheaper than a taxi, sometimes cheaper than the bus. That wasn't because Uber was efficient. It was because Uber was losing money on purpose. Billions of dollars. Ever to get you hooked. Now the rides cost more than taxis. The drivers make less, and Uber takes 30% of every fare. This is the platform playbook, and once you understand it, you'll see it everywhere. Every platform starts the same way. With a bribe. Uber was founded in 2009, started expanding in the early 2010s, with rides so cheap they didn't make economic sense. Drivers were making great money. Riders were paying almost nothing. Everyone loved it. The media called it a revolution. But here's what was actually happening. Quote, Uber was subsidizing both sides of the market, paying drivers more than the ride was worth, charging riders less than the ride cost. The difference? Covered by venture capital money. Billions of dollars of investor cash burned on purpose. Why would anyone do that? Because platforms have a cold. Mathematical logic. In the beginning, you need to solve the chicken and egg problem. Riders won't join without drivers. Drivers won't join without riders. So you bribe both sides to show up. Once you have enough of both, the network effect kicks in, and then the math changes completely. From 2014 to 2022, Uber lost a cumulative $31 billion. That's not a failure. That's an investment. They were buying a monopoly, one subsidized ride at a time. And now, Uber is profitable because they no longer need to subsidize anything. They own the market. Once the platform owns both sides of the market, the extraction begins. Here's the math you need to understand. When Uber started their take rate, the percentage of each fare that Uber keeps was around 15%. Drivers got 85 cents of every dollar. Fair enough. Today, Uber's take rate is closer to 30%, sometimes higher. Drivers are getting 60 to 65 cents of every dollar. Riders are paying more, and the only one making more money is the platform. This isn't unique to Uber. This is the platform's curve. Subsidize, dominate, extract. Look at the App Store. Apple takes 30% of every app purchase, every in-app transaction, every subscription. When the iPhone launched in 2007, that 30% felt reasonable. Apple was giving developers access to a brand new market. Now, the Nest-Pane market is mature. Developers have no alternative. There's no other way to reach 1 billion iPhone users, and Apple still takes 30%. DoorDash takes 15 to 30% from restaurants. Many restaurants operate on 3 to 5% profit margins. Think about that. The delivery platform takes 30% of revenue from a business that only makes 5% profit. Some restaurants literally lose money on every delivery order, but they can't afford not to be on the platform, because that's where the customers are. So why do platform fees never go down? Because of something called two-sided lock-in. Let me explain with a simple example. You're a restaurant owner. You hate that DoorDash takes 25% of your revenue. You want to leave, but 40% of your orders come through DoorDash. If you leave, you lose those customers, because they're not your customers. They're DoorDash's customers. Now, flip it. You're a customer. You use DoorDash because every restaurant you like is on there. If DoorDash raises prices by 5%, are you really going to download 3 other apps and check each one every time you want to order food? Probably not. That's the lock-in. Both sides are stuck, and the platform sits in the middle collecting rent. And here's the key insight. As the platform grows, its bargaining power only increases. With more restaurants, it attracts more customers. With more customers, restaurants can't afford to leave. The stronger the network effect, the higher the toll the platform can charge. This is why platform fees are sticky upward but never downward. The platform can always justify a small increase, better features, faster delivery, more promotion. But they never have a reason to lower fees, because where else are you going to go? It's the same logic as a toll bridge. Once you're the only bridge across the river, you can charge whatever you want. Building the bridge was expensive. Operating it is cheap. and the toll goes up every year. There's a deeper theory behind all of this. TAC analyst Ben Thompson calls it aggregation theory, and it explains why the internet tends to create monopolies, not competition. Here's the logic. In the pre-internet era, distribution was the hard part. Getting a product to customers required physical stores, logistics networks, sales forces. The companies that controlled distribution had the power. On the internet, distribution is free. Anyone can reach anyone, so the scarce resource shifts. It's no longer distribution. It's demand. Whoever aggregates the most demand, the most users, the most eyeballs, the most orders, wins. And demand aggregation has a natural monopoly tendency. The platform with the most users attracts the most suppliers. The most suppliers attract more users. Winner takes all, or at least, winner takes 70%. Google aggregated search demand. Amazon aggregated shopping demand. Uber aggregated ride demand. Once they had the demand, the suppliers had no choice but to play on their terms. And the terms, always favor the platform. Let's talk about what this actually costs. Real people. Uber driver in 2015 could make $25 to $30 an hour before expenses. Today, after Uber's increased take rate, higher fuel costs, and platform-managed pricing, the average is closer to $15 to $18 before expenses. After gas, insurance, and car depreciation, many drivers are making below minimum wage. A restaurant that joins DoorDash doesn't just lose 25% of revenue. They also lose the customer relationship. They can't email those customers. They can't offer them loyalty programs. They don't even know who ordered. The platform owns the demand, and they rent it back to you at a price that only goes up. An indie game developer on the App Store makes a $10 game. Apple takes $3. The payment processor takes 30 cents. The developer gets $6.7. Before taxes. Before server costs. Before the months of development time, $3 of every sale just evaporates into the platform, and the developer can't leave. Because there are a billion IQs, and the App Store is the only way to reach them, so here's the pattern. Every platform follows the same three-act play. Act 1. Subsidize. Burn cash to attract both sides of the market. Make everything cheap and wonderful. Be the hero. Act 2. Dominate. Reach a scale where network effects make it nearly impossible for competitors to survive or for participants to leave. Act 3. Extract. Raise fees. Cut pooch. Add ads. Degrade the experience just enough that people complain, but not enough that they leave. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just math. The math of two-sided markets, network effects, and winner take. All dynamics. And the reason it matters is that once a platform reaches Act 3, there's almost no going back. The lock-in is too strong. The switching costs are too high. The alternative is too inconvenient. The middleman always wins. Not because they're smarter, but because they positioned themselves where every transaction has to pass through. That was the platform machine. Next time, we're looking at the most counterintuitive money machine of all, luxury goods. Why Hermes makes products more expensive on purpose. Why you can't buy a Birkin even if you have the money, and how artificial scarcity creates real wealth. If you want to understand why the most expensive things are the best business, subscribe. This is Money Machines.